Welcome to the Mechanical PE Exam Prep Podcast, the podcast where I give mechanical engineers like you the tools and motivation to get your professional engineering license and take your career to the next level. In this episode, I sit down with engineer Malachi Tesarik, who took his FE in March, graduated in May, and passed the PE by September, all while settling into his first full-time engineering job. Malachi shares how he balanced on-the-job learning with 17-hour study weeks, the mindset that kept him motivated, and what it's like preparing for the PE so early in his career. Tune in for practical study tactics, lessons from the trenches, and inspiration for anyone considering an accelerated path to the PE. So Malachi, welcome to the Mechanical PE Podcast. I'm happy to have you, and congratulations on recently passing your PE exam.
Thank you. I appreciate it.
So where I'd like to start out is just to hear a bit about your background, where you went to school, what you're working on, and what made you want to get your PE.
Yeah. Let's see. So I'm originally from Washington, Spokane, Washington. I moved to Idaho for college. I went to Northwest Nazarene University. That's in Nampa. It's like 30 minutes out of Boise, if you know Boise.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, great college, great spot. They've got a solid engineering program. So I studied mechanical engineering over there. So I just graduated this May. It's October right now, so that's like 5-6 months-ish. So just graduated in May and got a job with a general contractor. And so I'm sort of working in a different realm than I thought I initially would be. But I've just been doing that, and it's been really great.
So you graduated in May. When did you do your FE?
Yeah, I took the FE in March. Yeah.
Wow.
Yep.
So that's one of the reasons I was excited to share your story, is because depending on what state people are listening in, they may have to acquire the 4 or 5 years experience as per their state board before they can sit for the PE exam and do an application and get approved. But in many states, I guess Idaho being one of them now, that's not required. So you can literally take the FE and then turn around and take the PE. You still need the experience, but you can do the exam straight away if you're able to prepare for it and pass it, which you did.
Right.
So what made you want to get after it so quickly, and how did that come to fruition?
Yeah. Well, honestly, let's see. I studied hard for the FE with a lot of my fellow students, and we took it. Most of us passed, and it was good. And I was feeling like, okay, I'm ready to sort of settle down. I can cool it. I don't know if I'll want the PE or not. But then I get this job, and they're like, hey, like, we really want you to get a PE. We'd love for you to start having the capabilities as soon as you can, so 4 years, to be able to stamp plans and things of that nature. And so I was like, oh, wow, okay. So they offered to pay for the study material and the test. And I was like, like, it's fresh. I'm fresh out of school. I might as well just just commit and do it, because I like to finish things completely. And this is sort of felt like the final boss of engineering.
Yeah. Wow.
Yeah. So committed to it. Actually, you know how they were changing the format from September to October?
Mm-hmm.
So I didn't really know that. I signed up for a slot in late September, when in June. So like a little extra, more than 3 months out. And just because I was thinking, oh, surely 3 months is plenty of time to study for the PE. And like, it'll be fine. But then as I got closer to that deadline, I was like, oh no, this is going to be a little tough. But then if I kick it out further, I'm going to have to learn a new format of the handbook. And I was like, oh, I don't really want to do that. And
Right.
I had some good friends that were like, no, man, you can do it. Yeah, you just got to work hard, and you'll be able to do it. And so so I did that and just went for it, and it went well. So
It's interesting that you kind of put a date out there just to have something to shoot for, but you didn't feel too strongly about it. You figured, if I need extra time, it's okay, I can push it back a little bit. But then you ended up having this hard stop that, and it's not that the changes are that scary, but you don't really want to play with fire that close to the line when you've been preparing based on, the existing reference handbook before that. And, why introduce new variables if you don't have to?
Right. Yeah.
It's pretty cool that your company is planting seeds 4 years in advance and saying, hey, we want to invest in you. We see you being here and having a role. And So do you currently, or does your company currently get involved in the design as well, or is that something that they aspire to be more involved in? If you're able to share a little bit about, how do they think about this and where you fit into the puzzle?
For sure, yeah. Well, currently, yeah, we're not part of the design. That is definitely something they're aspiring to, hoping for in the future. There is an employee, he's an engineer, he's a brother-in-law, and so he has enough time to help out. So he's sort of like our part-time employee. So he's been able to help out a lot with, I guess, some of those alterations because we're doing general contracting, so it's construction. Things come up, that plan wasn't actually stamped, or that was a fake stamp. We've run into a lot of weird things. Anyways, but that engineer has been really helpful. So he's the main avenue that they're using right now, but they're hoping to broaden it and make it more accessible to them.
That's great. Be able to
Yeah,
take more ownership of it and just take care of more things for their clients and bring that accountability in house and just
yeah,
get more done with less outsourcing, less bringing on external consultants, especially when you have the knowledge in house and you know how to build it, but you do need that official stamp, and that's the missing piece.
right.
So what was your preconceived notion about the PE, especially doing it so quickly after the FE, going to the PE? These two are, I mean, I guess the FE is a very good foundation for the PE, but it's a different ball game, right? Is that something that you fully appreciated, or is it something you came to know as you were studying?
Yeah, yeah, that's a that's a good question because I sort of just tried to keep my FE pace and where you got about 3 minutes per question, and then with the P with I mean the F yeah with the FE
With
three
the
minutes per
FE, yeah.
question and the PE 6 minutes per question. So I just had that sense of urgency, I guess, and so with just studying after work and even during work, my work was kind enough as I was training and learning the job. I'm also studying for the PE. They were kind enough to let both of those coexist. I think it was once I saw your study material and the list and all the percentages of, okay, I just finished a few problems and I went up 1% in the, like, it's like, oh man, okay, there's a lot here. Like, this is going to take a long time.
Like,
Fully
did you
appreciating
find that you had to sort of like update your cadence or the amount of time that you plan on spending or hours per day or hours per week from what you may have originally envisioned, especially when the 3 month timeline became like the final timeline?
I realized I need to study more. It's going to take longer. I'm not doing this as fast as I thought I was going to. So it is going to take more time. And so just allowing that was very helpful. I think I did have the misunderstanding though that like I need to have everything down like so cold. Like I need to like just be a master at all of these subjects. But I actually felt like there was a good similarity with the FE and the PE. Sort of just like there were a few questions where I was like, man, like I don't know, but I'm not worried about not passing this. Like I felt good when I finished.
Right.
I turned it all in, and I was like, like I think I passed that.
Yeah,
So
it's interesting because I feel there's different strengths that different candidates have. The most common example of somebody that I work with is somebody who's been out of college for about 5 to 10 years and sometimes more. And one of their biggest concerns is how do I get back into a study rhythm and how do I get fresh on these ideas that I knew once, but I've really forgotten and I'm just rusty. But what they may underestimate is the skills that come from their experience. And for younger engineers that are in your situation, you don't have that problem of being so far from school. You know how to study. You just did it. You basically never stopped. So your
right,
critical thinking muscle is very strong. You're good at deductive reasoning and, figuring out the question behind the question and developing a solution roadmap. But you may have limitations in other areas that there are just things that you haven't seen in the field that you may not have had the opportunity yet to develop an intuition for, and you will. But if that hasn't happened in your career track just yet, then you're doing a lot on paper. And it's not right or wrong. These positions that engineers find themselves in both make sense. But you don't have the luxury of comparing. You're living one or the other. And I'm just thinking about what that must have been like for you, kind of being coming at it really more from the book smart student perspective?
Yeah, I think I did. I definitely felt my body was ready for summer, ready for that break and like, okay, like now I don't need to like think for a while and then I'll hit the books in fall. But just with like how soon it all just sort of got scheduled and my work was just so willing to pay for it so soon. I I sort of felt that lack of, oh, like, okay, there's no summer rest and we're just going straight from finals, like month and a half rest and then straight into the PE.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah, if
So
I think if it was left to you, it would have been a hypothetical future that you would have done it someday,
yes.
maybe, but probably, but because it was sort of thrust on you, you're like, okay, we're doing this now.
Yeah. Yep. And it was definitely helpful having just finished the FE because like I'm still in the mind, yeah, like you said, I'm still with that mindset of the question behind the question, like what I can do when I don't when I'm lost, like okay, well how can I like whittle down the possibilities and things like that. And that was super helpful.
Yeah. Yeah, there's something to be said for the skill of taking tests. And, I think there's less of that in the PE than there are in other types of exams like, SATs where like there's a lot of strategy involved and tactics. There's not as much of that in the PE, but there's not none. It is a multiple choice test. So if you can eliminate something, if you can determine that one choice is not reasonable, if you're good at working through units, there are definitely fundamental skills that come into play that have as much to do with test taking as they do with engineering. But you're never going to get through if you haven't developed a pretty good command of the engineering fundamentals.
Right.
So how did you kind of formulate your plans? Obviously, you had the program and it's pretty linear, but how did you go through it? Did it go not just in terms of speed, but did you just kind of start at the beginning and go left to right, or were there pitfalls along the way?
Yeah, it was pretty linear. I mean, even before I bought the study material, I just spent time researching the study material, like what study material is out there. And I do want to say, yeah, it was just evident. Like I was like, oh man, like this guy has put a lot of work in, even from the outside, like I could tell. And then after going through it, it's like, oh, for sure. Like you were just very intentional, and I appreciate that.
Thank you.
Yeah, but let's see. Once we committed, work and I and committed to your study material, and then we started moving through that. I just did exactly how it's sort of set up. Started with the basics, remembering that, and that was helpful for me, even though I just finished college. Like I still needed that. Like it was good to go through all of that. And the questions, maybe or you know the order better than I do now, but but it's yeah, I just sort of went through one at a time in order, and then the
Hmm.
next unit in order, next unit, and that was it. The schedule the Excel schedule, that was very helpful that you sent out. And having those three different paces, the
Hmm.
aggressive pace, the in the middle, and then the a little bit longer one.
Yeah.
Yeah, that was super helpful too. I utilize that a lot just to understand where I'm at.
Right.
Yeah, so I thought
Yeah,
I'd
it's good.
finish with a lot of time left, and then it was a little harder to study that much in the given amount of time I had. So
Yeah. Yeah, it's a lot. And what did you think you were averaging in terms of like hours per week? I don't know if you tracked your hours that closely, but what did it feel like on a typical day?
typical day, ooh, well, I mean, it was like,
Or typical week maybe is better because
yeah,
the weekends are going to look different.
right, yeah. Weekends, every once in a while, I'd do a catch up one and spend like, I don't know, sometimes just like 4 hours on a weekend, like on Saturday studying. So on a week though, I don't know, probably 17 hours ish.
Okay.
Yeah, maybe sometimes more, sometimes less.
Yeah.
But 17 sounds reasonable. I usually would at least always do an hour at work.
Hmm.
Usually like 2 hours, and then I'd stay late and do another hour or something. It just every day was a little different. Played it by ear. Just kept looking back at that schedule to see how many questions I need to get done and
Right.
do all
And if
that.
you're a little behind, you're playing catch up. And if you're a little ahead, you're not exactly sitting on your heels. You're like, all right, let me keep this. Let me try to
Yes,
stay a little bit ahead. And
definitely.
yeah, I think that's great number. 17. I was gonna say 15 would have been my proposal. Like for anyone listening that is thinking that they want to do this in 3 months, which by the way, I'm not necessarily a proponent of that. I usually tell people 4 to 6 months is kind of a sweet spot. But if you want to go faster, you can do it in 3, which is why I give the schedule that you used. But that's sort of what you're signing up for, is spending 15 to 18 hours a week. And if you're able to do it like you were, and sometimes it probably felt like a lot, then it
Yeah.
works. But if you can't really do that, if you're more in the 10 to 12 range, that's fine. Just give yourself 4 or 5 months. And then the question becomes, in 2 years or 5 years, when you look back on getting the PE, does it matter if it took you 3 months or 4 months or 5 months or 6 months? Probably the answer is no. But in your case, you had this constraint, artificial or not, but you had registered for a date, and it's like now you're fighting out of the corner and you got to keep
Right.
going. But you handled it really well. I think you got into a rhythm, and it sounds like you had the structure, being able to put in that time at work and know that you're going to get at least an hour a day, sometimes 2 or 3. That's such a
Yeah.
nice base. And then, how many Saturdays that you had to put in 4 hours, probably less.
Right. No, yeah, definitely. And I was thinking about it as I was going through it. That advice you just gave of like in the long run, ultimately, like, does it matter that much that you took it a month faster, a month sooner than you could have? And I was thinking about it, and I was like, man, that I resonate with that more, much more now that I'm against this deadline. I was like, maybe I should have just registered in October,
Yeah.
but I had a lot of people helping me out, encouraging me, and it worked out well. So
Right. I think the most important thing is to be decisive, which you were, and then move aggressively toward that goal.
yes,
The problem is anyone listening to this, like, that is waffling about what the date should be, that's going to eat you up alive. Because if you think you want to do it sometime in the next year, but you haven't decided when, then what's going to happen is 6 months goes by. And what do you have to show for it? Probably next to nothing. But you still have this idea that you want to do it within that year. And now that year's half gone. And then it takes like a month to just get in the flow of doing something. So now all of a sudden you've got 5 months. And 5 months works, but it doesn't work with like extra time to spare. So
right,
yeah, I think you were decisive, and that was very beneficial. You mentioned you kind of went in order and did the chapters as they were offered, but how did you handle problems that you got wrong, that you got confused on? How did you use the solutions? How much did you use the solutions versus just figure it out on your own? Like, what was your actual experience down in the weeds?
yeah. I would always I did just a problem at a time. So I would look at it. I always was simulating the exam. So on my computer on the left, I had the handbook. On the right, I had your questions, and then on the top, I had the timer. And I actually near the end, I actually had it counting down just so I could practice keeping track of time when it's going down, not just going up.
Hmm.
But so yeah, so I was just simulating it like that. But I would always do one question at a time, where I'd look at a question, and a lot of the times I'd be like, man, I don't know how to do this. So I'd be like, all right, you've got like 6 to 10 minutes. I'd go between those two. Get as much down as you can. I don't want to be watching the video, the solution, and say, oh, I knew that. Like, I wanted to have everything on my paper.
Mm.
So I would do the 6 to 10 minutes, just me and my effort. Sometimes it was 4 to 6 minutes, but so yeah, man, so it was a lot. But I would always just do that, attack it, like sort of space out sometimes, be like, I just am so over this question, like I have no idea, and then be like, no, fight for it. And sometimes I'd actually be able to work out the solution.
Mm.
Like I was ready to give up, but then sometimes I was able to actually like figure it out.
God,
But
that's what it's all
after,
about.
right, yes, yeah, that wrestle actually helped me so much, instead of just getting spoon fed. But so after that time hit, then I'd go on your solution video, click to wherever I made it to, um, watch it, be confused, rewatch it, and then be like, oh, I see, and then just write that down. But I always wrote everything down. So I'd write down my process and then scribble it out if it was the wrong one, and then write yours and then write the answer and things like that.
Yeah.
So that was sort of my flow for just everything. It was just usually just one at a time.
Yeah. I
That
love
that
that one.
yeah, it works for me. So
That's fantastic. A really common question that I get is how many problems should I do at a time? And the extreme version of this question that comes up with everyone is, should I simulate the actual practice exams at the end, which
Mm,
is, potentially 8 hours, maybe two 4 hour chunks, and you're putting yourself against the clock. And I usually say, don't do that. Just do the problems the same as you would have in the normal chapters earlier. And then the question is, within those chapters, how big of a batch of problems are you going to take and work on? If you have 20 problems in a chapter, you could do batches of 10 or batches of 5 or batches of 2 or what you did, batches of 1. Just do one problem and then
yeah.
look at the solution and go one, 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 one. And every time you do a problem, you're looking at the solution right after. So wherever you were, let's say that problem was, you didn't know what was going on, but after you looked at the solution, you did. Well, you've just kind of built the next level of the scaffold in your knowledge. And if the next problem is some extension of those same ideas, you're going to have the opportunity to reiterate and perform those same basic ideas and then build on top of it, which strengthens the foundation because you have to go through it in your mind again and then deal with some nuance or some exception. So I really like that. And I think people sometimes insist on biting off bigger batches. But if you do a batch of 10 and you didn't know some basic idea that affected problem number one, that's going to cascade potentially through half of those other problems. And it's just a missed opportunity. So the smaller the batch, the better. I don't know why some people, it just bugs them to do it that way, but that is the optimal maximum learning approach that you could have taken. And I didn't explicitly tell you at any point that that's how you should do it. I just said, here are the problems, do them in order. But you took it upon yourself to do that. And everybody has different styles. So I don't like to be too prescriptive, but it delights me to hear that you did it that way. I just
Yeah.
think it's the most effective.
Yeah. No, it just like you said, like I would learn something with that question. And then on the next one, because I learned that, I was able to utilize it. And it helped me fight through more of them. So
Yeah.
yeah.
And did you keep with that even on the full practice exams at the end, or did you loosen it up a little bit and do some bigger batches?
Yeah, with the practice exam, I would try to do, I did larger batches.
Okay.
Yeah. I would, yeah, it would vary, but it was at least like, it was 10 to half of the exam. That's
Okay.
what,
It would depend probably on how much time you had to throw at it.
right,
And then the
exactly.
next time you resume, you pick up wherever you left off.
Yeah. I would sort of, yeah, I would grade them. I wouldn't watch the solutions to them though, until I was all the way through.
Right.
So,
Just look at the answer key, say right or
right.
wrong, and
Yeah.
then do like a full review session later after the fact.
Yeah. And what was most helpful too is actually going back through the exam. Like, because I mean, to be honest, no one wants to go back through the exam, especially when it's called exam. But like the first time I went through the exam, I'd get like a 60%. And I was like, uh-oh, like, shooting for 70. Like, like I need to do that again. But the next time I went through it, you remember those questions. And part of me was thinking like, oh, because I remember these questions, like it's not valuable anymore. But actually, like it sped up the process even more. So because I did that, actually, when I made it to the PE, I was averaging in the second half. That was the easy section part for me, was the second half.
Hmm.
The first one sort of was really tough actually for me. But the second half, I was doing like 2 minutes a question,
Mm.
for a lot of them, just because I knew these, I was like, oh, I've seen that diagram. I know the psychrometric chart. Like I know all these tables. I was able to just fly through like a large chunk of it,
Yeah,
because I practiced the exams over a few times.
that's great. And
Yeah,
and the good thing about that is if you do have a small handful of problems that you don't know and you need some time to either think about or dig in the handbook or both, you've carved out that extra time for yourself by banking so much on these faster problems.
right.
And the other good takeaway from that is the morning section, which is more calculations. It takes more time. Give yourself extra time. Did you take more than 4 hours in the morning, like 4.5 hours or something, or were you
Uh,
nervous about borrowing from your future?
yeah, I was under the assumption that the first half was easy and then the second half was hard.
Oh,
Is that not what it is? I should have done more research with that.
well, the second half isn't necessarily easier per se, but it's exactly what you said. It's faster. So
Right.
if
Okay.
if you look at something and you know it right away, you're going to save time. If you don't know it, but it's like choose one of these four, you really can't spend more like much more time on that. You still have to kind of just make a decision and move on. So you're always going to bank
Right.
time in the second half, which means you probably don't need 4 hours in the second half. You probably only need three or maybe 3.5. So everyone should give themselves 4.5 to potentially as much as 5 hours in the morning because of how many calculations you're doing.
Oh my goodness. That's
I wish we had
I
talked more about that.
Yes, yeah. Well, I remember you talking about it in one of those intro videos, but I couldn't remember it and I didn't have the mental bandwidth to go through them. Like I felt like in a vulnerable place of like I just need to sort of sit here with what I've got and not try to figure everything out at once right now.
Mm.
And so I just assumed it was the same. So with the FE, I killed the first half and then the second half was really tough.
Mm.
And
And you're tired on top of it. So it's just
Right. I was feeling, I was like, man, I think I aced this thing with the first half of the FE, and then the second half came, and I left that place being like, oh, I don't think I passed. And so with this one, I come in there, and then it's in my mind, I'm like, okay, I need to finish this fast because the second half's harder. I should have checked that with you, or something, or looked it up, or, but yeah. So no, I spent 3 hours 40 minutes on the first half, and then had four
wow.
hours 20 minutes on the second and
Wow.
had a lot of time left
And you
when I
walked out
finished.
probably with an hour plus on the clock, right?
Yeah, well, I could have, but then I was like, let's just sit here and go through all my flag things. Like
Okay.
I've got the time. There's no reason why I can't fix all of them.
Right. But you can't revisit the morning, so what's done
Yeah,
is done there.
yeah. So I just went back through and took my time. Like I was like, when you're sort of spinning in your chair, listening to people in the testing room with you. I was looking around for a little bit. I was like, I'll just take a mental break right now and then go back.
Yeah. That's an
Yeah.
interesting idea. Just take a break in place. You're not going to leave, but
Right, exactly. Yeah. They were coming out to like they thought I wanted to leave. I was like, "Oh no, my bad. Like I'm just resting."
yeah, yeah.
But yeah, that would have been good to know because the first half I was like, "This is not good. This is not good." But the
Well, but you were
second,
cranking through it, and I think that speaks to your competency with again the foundational aspects of solving these problems, which is like strong algebra skills, strong calculator skills. These are things that you can't really separately practice for that in the
yeah,
process of going for the PE exam. Of course, you are practicing that as you're solving problems, but you're not doing it in isolation. You're doing it in the context of solving engineering problems. So, that's actually my biggest concern for folks that have been out of school for a long time is that they're not quick on their calculators. They're, basic algebra, yeah, but as soon as there's like an exponent or something like that, it's going to like throw them for a loop. And, recent graduates are just, very sharp on that stuff. So that's how you were able to do that in 3 hours and 40 minutes. That's a major accomplishment. I'm actually super impressed by that because even personally, if I went and sat and took the FE, the PE tomorrow, I would want a solid 4.5 hours for that morning section because like I want to be really careful with my algebra and everything. So
thank you. I mean, just because I did it 3 hours 40 minutes doesn't mean it's right.
we
You
don't know
know,
the distribution. We'll never know, right? Like which
right,
ones you.
which sort of pains me. Yeah, because
yeah.
the second half, oh man, I felt so good on it. But the first, yeah, I was in my chair and I was like, this is not good.
Yeah, I was
But I
thinking
did,
recently, like, how evil would it be if the PE was adaptive, where if you were getting problems right, they dial up the difficulty, and if you're getting them wrong, they make it
right?
easier.
Yes, yeah.
Yeah,
I do want to say though, even in the midst of the first half, I think what really was helpful for me was not taking it too seriously, even while I was doing it and hitting a lot of roadblocks, like hitting walls. But whenever I like came across one and I was like, oh, I got that right, I'd sort of do a little celebration and be like, I'd say boom, but like in my head, and be like, yeah, I got that. And then say like, please, Lord, let me get one more. And then and then just do the next, sort of like Hacksaw Ridge. So yeah, it was a good time.
yeah, you have to gamify it in little ways for yourself so that it can be satisfying.
Yes, you do. Otherwise, I'd go crazy in there. Yeah.
Yeah, and you get hung up on the ones that you're getting stuck on, and it can really break you down. So did
Yeah.
you flag? Would you quickly flag and move on and go back, or were you like dealing with the problems as you encountered them and forcing your way through?
I would flag. So I'd read it, attempt it, be like, oh dear, flag it, but then leave it with my best guess. I wouldn't just skip it.
Okay.
And then, oh, you know what was not helpful though was I was trying to take the test how I was practicing by writing everything down. And so, first of all, I don't know how it is. You're in Massachusetts, right? Or
Yeah.
now, yeah, or wherever you took it, probably New York.
Yeah, I took it in
Do you
New
guys
York.
do you guys have good water ink pens on
I
your?
took it when it was paper and pencil open book.
Oh,
Yeah,
well, they have these
2014.
terrible water ink pens now, and they give you like three or four because they know they're bad, you know?
So more
And
of
so,
them somehow solves that.
yeah, so it's like, so I'd be writing and it would disappear, and I'd set it upright so it would like the ink would drain down to the tip,
Uh-huh.
and I'd pick up the next one, and then I would do that. So I'm like fighting the pens,
Oh
for the
no.
first half, yeah.
There's
In
nothing
high
worse than a drying out dry erase marker. It's like,
And they would each do it, but like after you let them set for a little bit of time, they were ready to go again for two problems, you know?
that
It
is
was
terrible.
so I was cycling pens, but I was trying to write so much on the first half so I could in my thought process with it was oh no, because then when I go to my flags, I'll look right at it at what I was doing earlier and it will be helpful. I love the idea, but it didn't work for me. And once I
Oh,
abandoned that, I went a lot faster and I
mm.
didn't completely abandon it. I'd still like maybe write an equation and the question number. Um, but like I was just trying to write too much and I had to like drop that. So I dropped that halfway through the first section and it saved me a ton. Um,
Nice.
but
Well,
yeah,
it's a risky play in a sense because, if you're not thorough and detailed, then you open yourself up to all of the risks that come with not checking units and you try to the question becomes as you're working, how do you decide what's worthy of being written down versus not? What are you going to store in your RAM? Uh,
right.
right? Like that's such a hard question to answer. And if you haven't practiced in that manner, if all of your practice has been very detailed, then that's your go-to. And that's my go-to. So I wouldn't want to be told that I had like a half sheet of paper or only one marker. Like I'd probably be screaming in the first 10 minutes, like, get me a new box of dry erase markers. I'm not doing it like this.
Yeah, they're bad. They're bad. But
Man, I'm
yeah.
glad you fought through that. That's wild.
Yeah, you just have to, yeah, like I just had them lined up and, would just rotate them one at a time and put them, new clip ready. So,
Crazy.
yeah.
So you walked out of there, you used the whole time. It sounds like you felt
Oh,
pretty good about it.
I ended with 30 minutes left, I guess.
Okay, gotcha. But you
After,
felt pretty good overall, even though the afternoon was different. So you probably felt more positive leaving than you did at lunch.
yes, much more.
Nice. And
Yeah.
then fast forward to the next Wednesday and you got the good news.
Yeah. Yeah. It's always funny to me how, I don't know, it just says, oh, you've got your results have arrived, and then you log in and there's no confetti, there's no like congratulations. It just says like in little tiny font, it's green letters. I just say pass. And it's
Yep,
like
binary
yes.
option. You passed.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. They must have been happy for you at work.
Yes. Yep. Yeah. And at home, my family was, yeah, they were super excited. I told them so much about the PE. I would tell them like, man, I finished like 10 questions today at work. They'd be like, wow, that's so many. Because it took me a long time to do each one. So
Yeah.
they even knew about how long it takes. It took me to study each one of them. So
That's great. We haven't
yeah,
talked about that much in this conversation, but I do get the sense that you had great support around you. Probably didn't know at the beginning of this year that this was something you were going to be doing this year. So when the opportunity came for you to go after it, you had to take a minute to think about if that's something you really wanted to do, and you signed on to it. But you had good support at work, good support in your family, and everybody was pulling in the right direction, and you were willing and able to put the time and effort into it, and it came together. So, I mean, the big thing that I see here for younger engineers who are in states where you do not have to get the experience first is that if you can get the pieces in the right place, it can be done, and you're living proof of that.
yeah, absolutely.
Awesome. So what's next for you professionally? I guess you'll be documenting your experience for the next 4 years.
Right. Yeah. That's sort of it feels great to not have that looming over my head anymore.
Hmm.
Not that it was looming that long, because I didn't think I was going to do it for a while. But then, opportunity came and I was like, okay, let's do this.
That's so cool. It's just awesome to like surprise yourself that way and say like, "Oh, could I do
Yes,
this thing? This is a big deal. Yeah, I'm in." And now it's done.
yes, yeah, yeah, no, huge, yeah, so thankful for that. Just especially everyone who just was in my corner and was just saying, yeah, I think you'd rather finish this sooner than later. Like, why not do it out of college? And then other friends being like, hey, you can make that September time frame. I don't recommend the September time frame, unless yeah, you're like willing to be like, this summer is going to be work. Um,
Right. Yeah.
yeah,
I'm with
but
you. I'm a big proponent of like handpicking the season for things like this. I also did it in the summer, and when I look back, I'm like, well, I had to because it was only given twice a year back then, so it was either April or October.
wow,
I mean, I guess I could have punted till April, but I don't know. There's something to be said for like once you get a little bit of momentum going, you don't want to lose it. So I just
right.
want it to go all the way. But if somebody had the chance to like engineer it just the way they wanted, I'd say, pick a spring date and just study during the winter when you're holed up inside anyway, depending what part of the
Yeah.
country you're in, and that would be preferable in my opinion. But everyone's situation is different, so
So yeah, now I'm just like you said, just documenting, just working on new projects and trying to figure out how to make it contribute in a way that I can put it on an application and feel good about that.
yeah, you can really lean into the content that you have, uh, strengthened yourself on that's PE related. Not to say that you're gonna pass up opportunities to learn everything. I'm sure you'll sponge up everything you possibly can and whatever the company needs. But it's cool to have like a domain that is specifically concentrated for you. So if it's like, HVAC specific, then you're gonna just you'll be the first to put your hand up and say, "Oh, okay, I know how to frame that situation and think through it, and I can research the bits and pieces that we don't have that we need, and you can take that on."
Right.
I usually finish these calls by asking for one piece of advice that you would give to candidates that want to follow in the path that you did, if there's anything that resonates in that area.
Okay. Yeah. I mean, I haven't listened to everyone's, all of your podcasts. So I don't know if I'll be saying the same things that they always hear. Maybe they need to hear the same things, I guess. But I think the first thing is just understand that, you went through school, you did the education that's in you, whether it's been a short time or a long time. But it's in you and you can do this. People do this every year. And so why can't you do it? So yeah, first of all, I just say, yeah, believe in yourself and not, yeah, I wouldn't even say that's cheesy. Like you just truly have to live that way. And then the second thing, is put in the work. So you can't just believe in yourself because I've got some friends, they were able to wing a lot of tests in college and things like that. But the PE has scared them off from winging, probably for the best. But they're going to put in the work and they're going to do great. But just yeah, believe in yourself, but also just know like you can't. It's not just gonna plop into your lap, but it's just one step at a time. Just 1%, just one step, and over time you'll get there, and you'll be fast and you'll be smart and quick with it, and it'll go great. So that's what I would say.
That's awesome advice, Malachi. You are wise beyond your years to identify the two sides of that coin, right? Believing, but doing the work really, really hits. So, congratulations. Thank you so much for being on the podcast. It was awesome to share your story today. And keep in touch and enjoy the road.
Thank you. I appreciate it, Dan.
Thanks for listening to the Mechanical PE Exam Prep Podcast. If you enjoyed this episode, please consider leaving a review to help other engineers find the podcast. And if you're looking for a program that will help you pass the PE exam, check out the full access bundle available at mechanicalpeexamprep.com and feel free to reach out with any questions. I would be honored to be your guide on the journey to becoming a professional engineer.